welcome to the pod Talking Real Estate, where we explore the latest trends and insights in our housing market here in Northeast Oklahoma. I am Dustin Anglem. I am your host today. Here with us is Mike Epperson. He's been with Lakeland and in the real estate industry for about 5 years now. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Let's kick things off. We're going to be discussing the current state of the housing. Like, what are you experiencing right now, specifically in Northeast Oklahoma? I know that's mainly where all of our agents focus, but we have some that venture towards the Oklahoma City area. But mainly right here local, what are you experiencing with the market?
You know, I've seen the market started very strong early in the year for me. And of course, my perspectives are just my perspectives. They don't necessarily reflect what's happening to any other agent. But the year started real strong, and then I had a couple of months where it seemed like, what happened? Where'd everybody go? And then probably about 6 weeks ago, it started coming back. The thing that I find most interesting and surprises me a little bit is how different the markets can be if you're talking about starter homes versus you're talking about a lakeside home. And you know, one can be a very hot sort of market and the other one not nearly so much. And so you know, that's one thing that I didn't expect when I started, was the sort of stratification of the market and how one strata can be very different than another at the same time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm kind of the same. I mean, these starter homes, they're not on the market near as long as some of these bigger lake houses. Mainly it just takes a specific buyer for these lake houses. I mean, they are a hot topic right now, and their prices reflect that too. And it certainly takes someone with a little bit of intelligence and a little bit of a savings account to be able to get into one of those. For someone looking to buy a home in this market right now, what would your top piece of advice like?
Probably like everybody else says. I think the first thing folks have to do is get with a lender. Find a lender they trust, that they like, that they communicate well with. Great lenders don't necessarily communicate well, and that's a big part of the issue. After that, you need to decide, what do you want and what do you not want. The other thing I was going to say is after a lender, is they do need to define what they're after. Sometimes it's hard. I understand, especially first-time buyers, they may need to see 4 or 5 houses before they really know what they like and what they don't like. But the sooner you can come to that, the better off you are. And then, once you really know what you're after, just be patient, be ready to pull the trigger if one comes along that meets every one of your criteria, because it won't last long.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Usually the ones you're most interested in, they are the ones that are on the market 3 days and then they're gone.
Especially the last few years.
Because there's always multiple people looking at them usually. That is great advice. So what would you say are some common mistakes that you see buyers making? And how can they avoid them, do you think?
Well, let's talk about those two things separately. In terms of the mistakes they're making, I think people oftentimes will make 2 mistakes. One is they'll look at the history and say, well, these people bought this house 5 years ago for $180,000 and now they're trying to sell it for $290,000. I won't have anything to do with that. Well, it's not what they paid for it. It's what the current market is. So don't base your perception on what someone paid for something some years in the past. Let's look at what the current market is, do some current market analysis with comparable homes, and use that. You have to be really gentle sharing that, but you need to try to get that across. What was the other part of your question?
Well, you kind of answered it. It was like, how can they avoid them?
Well, it's my job to help them avoid that.
Yes.
and then it's on me to try to communicate clearly, but gently. I mean, nobody wants to be fussed at. We all need to hear things sometimes.
Yes, a lot of people rely too much on that Zestimate as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's a classic problem, isn't it?
Speaking of being a knowledgeable real estate agent and being able to help your clients avoid these mistakes, What should a buyer look for when they're looking for a real estate agent and they're wanting to hire someone to trust and represent them?
I think I've used this word a lot here. Maybe I'm overly dependent on it, but being able to communicate is clearly an important skill. I think that goes right along with being able to listen. You need to find an agent who's going to listen to you. It's easy, and I can fall prey to this. It's easy to decide right off, this is what this client needs, this is what they should do, and be totally wrong. Yes. So it's important for the agent to listen. They need to make sure the agent is hearing them, that the agent communicates well. This is pretty simple, maybe too simple, but I encourage folks to go into Zillow, for instance, where numerous past clients have left references and talked about their experiences in our transaction. And I think that gives people that gives them a little better and broader perspective to make a decision.
Yes, we do work off of our reviews and our referrals, so it all helps a lot.
Yeah.
So in a competitive market, you have your buyers, you have this perfect house for them. It comes up on the market, been on the market hours. They want it, you're writing an offer. What is something that you will do to this offer to make it stand out from any potential other offers that may come in?
Okay, well, obviously, there's lots of parts to a contract. It's like a balloon. You squeeze this part and this part gets bigger. You squeeze that part and it's going to come out somewhere in the middle. I think it's important to understand the role. For instance, right now we're having a lot of buyers, especially first-timers, that need help with closing costs. And so if a house is on the market and they want to offer that full price because it's going to sell for that full price, but they ask for $10,000 in closing costs, they don't understand that that's part of the seller's net. So you have to be careful about asking for closing costs. I shouldn't say be careful. You need the closing costs. Let's negotiate that. But realize that it is a negotiating point. That earnest money, if you can afford more earnest money, then I would do it. You're going to get the money back when you close, or it's going to be applied to the cost. So a higher amount of earnest money is great. Those are the biggest two. Other things, you can say inspections for informational purposes only, but that's a little dangerous sometimes. So you need to be judicious in that.
Yes, I completely agree. So first-time home buyers, we're seeing a lot of those. Do you have any specific advice for the first-time home buyers that you may not give out to repeat home buyers? Or
I don't think specific advice. What I think helps with a first-time buyer more than anything else is just if you can get them to take a few minutes with you, a little time with you, and go through what the process is. Okay, once we have a contract, there's this thing called a time reference day. Then we have X number of days to accomplish this task, X number of days to accomplish negotiations about a TRR form. While all that's happening, you're also dealing with the escrow company. They're going to be doing this. Your lender's going to be doing that. By the way, don't go out and buy a boat. Those kinds of things, just so long as they can understand the process, I think is the best thing for a first-time buyer.
Yes, I completely agree. Yes. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else you'd like to share with anyone that might be listening that are looking at Northeast Oklahoma, that are looking at the Salina, Mays County area, and they're wanting to buy a home here?
I don't know that I have anything for that person. The advice I have is just that, we came up here 5-some years ago, and I had no idea I was going to enjoy living here as much as I do. You can find a place here that is not terribly expensive, that gives you those acres of privacy and allows you to do what you want there. Or you can get a house in a small town and have that real small town look. Or if you've got the budget, we can put you on a beautiful home where you've got a view of the lake all day long. So I'm just a fan now of Northeast Oklahoma. And so I just say, come on out to Northeast Oklahoma, let's look around. I actually put something on the Facebook page the other day that said, when you can hear moos instead of horns, that's a blessing. And I thought, let's out here and let's find your blessing. So that's just my perspective on it.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to wrap it all up. Thank you so much, Mike. For
painful at all.
It wasn't painful, no. It might have been more painful for me. But thank you, Mike, so much. And thank you to everyone listening. Going to have some more episodes rolling out in the next few weeks. So y'all just keep a look at all of our social medias. Thank you.